What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of Sit Down Saturday. Today we're going to compare the three Wild Riders. I told you I would get to it, and I did. I wasn't sure I was going to have the time again this week, but something happened, a little bit opened up for me, and I had the opportunity, and we got it done. It's beautiful. Before we do, just a small itty little bitty bit of house cleaning. Last week on Sit Down Saturday, talking about the Fanstoys secondary market, and a lot of people made the point of people buying multiple products and scalping the market for Fanstoys. I think that, I don't know. I think that wouldn't be a problem a couple years ago. I really think that the net number that's being produced is smaller now than it used to be. I really do think that from kind of just putting a little bit of the information together over here with a little bit of information I'm hearing about over here and kind of combining them together and getting that. But obviously people buying multiple copies does drain the market some. However, I don't think it's significant enough to make the impact that it's having. The impact is huge now. Stuff selling out in an hour. I don't think that's from people buying multiples. I think that's from Fanstoys producing less. Monday's review, Gutter. A lot of people asking me if I'm going to go in on the set because of how much I love the paint. No, I have two sets. I got this robot set. I got my dinosaur set out there. G1 Dinobots accounted for. If I were to get another set of Dinobots, I'm not sure what they would be. Maybe Planet X, but I don't think so. I don't think I would ever do that, but if that might be something that was alluring to me, or maybe definitely Grimlock from IDW, I'd probably get that, but no, I am good. However, that Gutter is great. Speaking of beautiful paint, let's go ahead and address the dragon. Look, I got news for you. We got a couple things we need to talk about with this. For one, the KO connection. Look, I'm just telling you what I heard. And people are saying all this connection to Kang Toys and Toy World, and look, and TFC is getting thrown around a lot too. If you want to tie those back to Robot Kingdom and have a real conversation, I'm down to have that conversation. But all I can tell you is that when this stuff got introduced, I got hit up on the side saying, you might want to take a look at this. This is their first original piece that's not a 1-1 cop. That's the information that I was getting. Am I wrong? Quite possibly. And if I am, I apologize. I didn't say it was a KO company with the intention of being disrespectful to it. I was just saying that I'm being true to my word and that it's not a KO. It's an original piece, and therefore I'm going to review it. It was a small footprint of the note. It wasn't the main course. It was an appetizer. It was just saying that regardless, it could be any. It could be like the company could be called King KO. But if they produce something original, I'd be more than willing to take a look at it. That's the only point I was trying to get to. I will say there was a number of things about it that felt weak to me. And look, I'll tell you something else. People said I was rough on it. Welcome to the channel. Sometimes I'm rough on things because sometimes I don't think things are good. Sometimes I think things are trying to get over on you. I do think the paint is beautiful. I also said the paint is chipping. That's because it was chipping. Just because it's beautiful doesn't mean it has to chip. Just because it's chipping doesn't mean that it's not beautiful. They are mutually exclusive. One is about how the paint looks aesthetically. One is about how the paint was applied. They're two different things. There's gonna come a point, if you watch my channel, that you and I are not going to see something the same way. And that's okay. I don't take it personal with you. You shouldn't take it personal with me. You can't love what I do when I trash something that you don't like and hate what I do when I trash something you like. Because that other time, somebody was in that same boat. I'm not here to make anyone happy. Do you know how easy it would be to come on here and just praise everything? Very easy. It would allow me to build relationships with a lot of companies that I've burned bridges to. It would allow me to build relationships with distributors that I don't think I've burned any bridges with, but I've definitely put a barricade up or two. It would allow me to schmooze and rub elbows and all this bullshit. But I don't want to do that. I don't care. I don't care about any of that. Never have. Never want to. I have a relationship with a few distributors that I've made friends with. That's it. Any of that, like I'm unsubscribing or like, dude, I don't care. I'm not in this for the views. I'm not in this for the subs. I'm not in it for that. There was a time where I chased that 100%. I cared about getting things first. I cared about getting my review out first. A couple times I had that. You know what I realized? It doesn't matter. I stopped caring about that a long time ago. I do this because I want to do this. I do this because I have an opinion and I want to share it, and some people value it. It may not always fit with yours, but I still wish you the very best. I'll look into this a bit more. If you took offense to that video, I can tell you this. You are lucky that I didn't know that thing cost $250 before I reviewed it, because had I known, I'd have come to your house and made you email your distributor and get your money back. It's ridiculous. It's a ridiculous price for what that is. I would have been 10 times harder on that thing had I known the price. And I say that to say this, Micah, who sent it to me, him and I, we're aces. No problem. That dude would be welcome to break bread with me at any moment. He knows that because I didn't care for the toy that he likes, that it doesn't make me a bad guy, and vice versa. This is what I do here. It's what I've always done. Sometimes you're gonna like it, sometimes you're not gonna like it. Any kind of empty threat towards me, let me tell you, I don't care. They've been throwing shots at me on the internet since way before you found my channel. I am going to tell you how I feel about something for as long as I continue to do this. Sometimes you're gonna like it, sometimes you're not gonna like it. That's the way it is with everything. If you like it, ultimately you win. I'm happy for you, and I can even understand it's very impressive in Dragon mode. It's also a significant size. It's also painted beautifully. So if you do like it, I understand why you like it. It's just not enough for me, and at that price point, I'm getting nauseous thinking about it. All right, let's get off that. Let's move on to product of the week. I got posters, 24 by 36. I have a few designs. IDW's Lost Light, IDW Decepticon Justice Division, Dinobots in robot mode, some Optimus Prime stuff. I have a lot of different designs. Portion of the proceeds go towards a person who lost their life to cancer this year. That was definitely a true gentleman. And with that being said, we can get into this battle royale. So real quick, I had to always give this disclaimer. I try to be as objective as possible in this. Some stuff just always is going to come down to what I prefer, and I have to make my choices appropriately. So with that, no further ado, let's get ready to rumble. And of course, we'll start with accessories. So they all come with his kind of signature gun. The gun plugs into the vehicle on all of them, I believe. The Fanstoys does come with an extra face. I'm not sure how useful that is. And then the DX9 one came with that weird Orion Pax upper body, which I'm not sure what their plan is with that. And moving on to gimmicks, I think the DX9 is the only one that had headlights to pop up. If I'm wrong about that, I apologize, but I'm pretty sure that's the case. Build and materials. The DX9 is the weaker of the three in regards to build. The Fanstoys and the X-Transbots are both built very well. However, X-Transbots does use the gummier plastic in the interior components of the upper body. The DX9 doesn't use any die-cast parts as far as I know. The X-Transbots uses soft ratchets in the hips, and the only hard ratchets are in the knees, whereas the Fanstoys uses hard ratchets in the hips, but not for lateral movement, only for forward and back. Hard ratchets in the knees and soft ratchets in the shoulders, where the X-Transbots does not. Now we'll begin with sculpt and paint. Just overview from the front, proportion-wise, I much prefer the X-Transbots and the Fanstoys over the DX9. The DX9, the torso is too long. Subsequently, it makes the arms too long because they're now in proportion with the legs. They should be a bit shorter, but the torso's too long, so it's just a mess, whereas the other two I think nail it much more appropriately. I think the metallic paint also pops more on the X-Transbots and the Fanstoys, and as a result I think they stand out more. However, the color of the X-Transbots is the one that's furthest off from the proper color. It's almost closer to a silver than a gray, whereas the other two definitely nail a gray. Moving on to sculpt and paint, both the Fanstoys and the X-Transbots are completely painted. The DX9, I don't believe the face is painted, but the rest of it is. Both the Fanstoys and the X-Transbots have the metallic eyes, the DX9 does not. As for the facial expressions, I like both the X-Transbots and the Fanstoys. However, the DX9 seems a little bizarre, and the proportions of the head seem a little off as well. Looking at them from the side, the DX9 head, it looks far too skinny to me, whereas the X-Transbots and the Fanstoys both look good. As for sculpted detail, they're all about the same. Moving on to the chest, the X-Transbots and the Fanstoys are completely painted. The DX9 relies a lot on flat plastics and then adds paint. Fanstoys goes with the silver, whereas X-Transbots and DX9 stick to the white, more cartoon accurate deco. But Fanstoys does give him more of an abdomen, which is subtle in the cartoon, than X-Transbots. As for the sculpt, the Fanstoys has a little bit more sculpted detail than the X-Transbots. It's about equal with the DX9. Both the X-Transbots and the DX9 rely on blue metallic paint for the chest symbols, whereas Fanstoys uses a translucent over top of silver paint. Looking at them from the side, I've always thought the Wild Rider looked far too thin from DX9, and the X-Transbots and Fanstoys both look a little unfinished. If I had to choose a preference between the two, I'd probably choose X-Transbots in that regard. Moving on to the arms, they all have red paint applied to the arms. The X-Transbots goes with a metallic, as does the Fanstoys. They both make different decisions as to where to draw the line with their red on the upper arm, which is just interesting to look at. The Fanstoys has slightly more sculpted detail, but it's super negligible. The DX9 unfortunately just doesn't pop standing next to the two metallic options. Looking at it from the side is one of the more interesting profiles for me. Both the DX9 and the X-Transbots have the red upper arm painted red and the lower arm gray, whereas the Fanstoys has the lower arm red stripe and the upper arm gray. The cartoon model has all all gray on the sides. More sculpted detail comes through in the DX9 because of the front part of the car that sits on it. The X-Transbots paints the rim silver. The DX9 leaves the raw die-cast, and the Fanstoys has it as a chrome option, which I think looks far superior. Looking at the pelvises, the X-Transbots is the only one that kind of goes for the cartoon accuracy of the just straight square pants kind of thing, which I don't prefer, but I understand. It also has far more sculpted detail than the Fanstoys or the DX9. Also, the DX9 is the only one that hasn't painted theirs. Looking at it from the side, all three have Nascitol, but the X-Transbots is the only one with a hip covering to kind of make it more attractive. Plus has the extra sculpted detail on it. Moving on to the legs, they all kind of nail the signature diamond shape on the thigh, as well as the square at the knee and the lines on the feet, as well as even the circle on the front of the toes. Fanstoys is the only one that adds the red accent. It's not cartoon accurate, but I think it makes it look more interesting. DX9 is the only one whose legs aren't fully painted, whereas both the X-Transbots and the Fanstoys are. From the side, both Fanstoys and DX9 have the red stripe all the way down the leg, which is cartoon accurate. The shape and sculpting of the DX9 and the Fanstoys is also accurate. The lower part of the leg is cleaner on both the DX9 and the Fanstoys. However, I prefer the chrome over just the raw die-cast every day of the week. There they all are from the back. The DX9 and the Fanstoys I think have more sculpted detail. None of them look bad. If I had to choose a winner, it would honestly be DX9. It looks cleaner and more purposeful throughout. The X-Transbots kind of loses it in the lower part of the roof of the vehicle, and the Fanstoys kind of loses it in the upper part of the hood of the vehicle. And Fanstoys barely weasels their way out of this one with a win, with 4-3 to DX9's 1. So I have Fanstoys taking the lead with X-Transbots for their head sculpt and paint, only because they're both better than the DX9 and both pretty good. Fanstoys takes the lead in the torso, mainly due to the proportions and having an abdomen. X-Transbots takes the hips for having the cartoon accurate waist and the side flap, while Fanstoys takes the lead in the lower legs, mainly due to that one red accent that I like, and then the sleeker design from the side. If they didn't have that sleeker design from the side, I'd probably give it to X-Transbots, but X-Transbots from the side is a little chunky. I give it to X-Transbots and Fanstoys for the front view just because they both look pretty good and they're both better than the DX9, where DX9 takes the back, and that's the only thing that they take in this sculpt and paint department. Moving into articulation, the DX9 is actually on a ball peg, causes for a bit of a build issue, but you can get up to there, down to there, and the swivel. And the ears articulate. The X-Transbots is on a hinge swivel. You can get up to there, and a little bit down, and a swivel. The Fanstoys is on a hinge swivel. You can get a good bit up, but nothing really down, but you do get the swivel. DX9 shoulder is on a universal connected to a hinge, which will get you the arm all the way up and around. X-Transbots is similar, except it's a ball peg to a hinge. It'll get you the arm a good bit up past 90 degrees and around. Fanstoys is on a straight universal. It'll get you a little bit past 90 degrees and soft ratchet around. Bicep swivel, bicep swivel, bicep swivel. DX9 has a double jointed elbow, which gets you the full run. X-Transbots has a double jointed elbow that gets you the full run. Fanstoys has a double jointed elbow, but does not get you the full run. DX9 has a wrist swivel with a hinge in out, and the fingers on a base pen knuckle with typewriter fingers and a thumb on a hinge. X-Transbots has a waist swivel with the fingers on a base pen knuckle not individually articulated and typewriter fingers. Fanstoys has a waist swivel and each finger individually articulated and not typewriter fingers. DX9 has a waist swivel and a significant ab crunch. X-Transbots has a waist swivel and ridiculous ab crunch. Fanstoys has a waist swivel, no ab crunch. DX9 has universal hips, get you out for the full Van Damme. You can go beyond because of the drop down joint, and more than 90 degrees forward and back once again because of the drop down joint. X-Transbots has universals, get out for the full Monty, back for the full Monty, out to the side for the full Van Damme. Fanstoys has universals for hips. A little less than out for the full Van Damme, but you do get forward basically for the full Monty and back basically for the full Monty. Thigh swivel, thigh swivel, thigh swivel. DX9 gives you a single jointed knee for 90 degrees. X-Transbots get you a ratcheted single jointed knee for 90 degrees. Fanstoys get you the full run with a ratcheted knee more than 90 degrees with a double joint. DX9 ankles are on a ball peg. You get an ankle tilt up, an ankle tilt down, a rocker, and a toe tilt sideways for a more exaggerated rocker. X-Transbots, you get an ankle tilt up, an ankle tilt down, and a rocker. Fanstoys, you get an ankle tilt, not really up, A little bit down, but a good rocker. So for the articulation, DX9 wins by a landslide. They all tie at the bicep, they all tie at the wrist, they all tie at the thigh. Fanstoys only takes the lead in hands because of the individually articulated fingers, and knees because they have a double jointed knee that gets you the full run. X-Transbots takes it at the elbow, which they tie with DX9, but I'm giving a point to both, and at the torso for the full 90-degree ab crunch, and DX9 literally takes the rest. So the scale conversation, which I can tell you I am not excited about having. So people killed me for the Magnum review where I said he was probably too big. They said he's not. There's no real official scale chart of it. I did find this. It is somewhat helpful. However, it's not official. But I'm honestly, after doing a little bit of watching and researching, I'm more likely to agree with this than the opposite. The thing that makes it tricky is that all of the Autobot cars acted like the Stunticons and were presumably the same height, so it doesn't quite work. Scales in the eye of the beholder. I hate thinking about it because then it definitely makes my Unique Toys and MMC set too small. I did find one image of the Stunticons running with Galvatron. They actually seem a little short here. So look, the scale for these guys is all over the place. If you are happy, you win. If you like it, you win. I am more inclined to agree with the popular opinion, at least on that particular video, which I can tell you ranges video to video, that the Fanstoys DX9 are the ones who are correct here for the most part. Transformation wise, they're all pretty solid. I'm going to eliminate the X-Transbots because of the way that those back pieces clipped in, and we had kind of massive breaks across the board. Well, at least widespread. I don't know about massive being the right word, but widespread. So we'll go ahead and remove them from the equation, leaving us with the DX9 and the Fanstoys, both of which have a couple of frustrating moments, but for the most part work very smoothly. I'm going to ultimately give it to DX9 because across the board, most of the pieces move smoothly. Most of it is entirely intuitive, and most of it is very enjoyable and smooth. This one is without a doubt the hardest part to kind of judge because they are all done so really, really well. All of the metallic paint for the DX9 finally ends up coming through. The metallic paint for the X-Transbots and the Fanstoys kind of continues to come through. They all have rubber tires. They all have the red translucent windshields, which look nice. The X-Transbots has the added gold kind of Ferrari symbols on it. The chrome wheels end up coming through even further in the Fanstoys. All the brake lights and everything, like everything is just tip top in all of these. If I had to be critical of all of them, I would say that the red line breakup on the bottom of the DX9 is kind of unsightly. I don't really even know what I would say for the X-Transbots or the Fanstoys. So it's like, they're just all, it's really impossible to kind of really pick a winner here. They're all outstanding. The DX9 also doesn't scale as well with the rest of the collection. So I would say that the Fanstoys and the X-Transbots are tied for first place, but the DX9 loses. So I might just have to give them both points on this. I can't choose. In terms of accuracy, it's a really hard call, but honestly, I'm just going to have to eliminate the DX9 because I feel like the proportions are way off and the kind of general silhouette kind of ends up being a bit off. And I'm going to tie it with Fanstoys and X-Transbots mainly because X-Transbots has a cleaner look, whereas Fanstoys has the sculpted detail and stuff. Now that stuff means more to me. I like the little breakups and such here and there. I like the little extra lines here and there. A lot of people don't. I get it, but that's why I prefer it. However, I would just give it to X-Transbots, except the way that X-Transbots handles the waist, abdomen, chest area isn't quite right, whereas Fanstoys kind of gets it right. So I'm going to tie them, eliminate DX9, and keep it moving. All right, Laura, which one do you think looks better? And pick them up.
Yep.
Which one feels better?
Yep.
Same one?
Yep.
Jana, which one do you think looks better?
This one.
And pick them up and see which one feels better to you.
Actually, this one.
Okay. Selena?
Yes.
Which one do you think looks best?
That one.
And pick them up and put them down. Which one feels the best?
That one.
The middle one? Okay. Send a baby.
Okay.
Look, as a heads up to everybody, I'm not going to have my baby touch these things. She won't probably want to, but I'm just going to ask her which one looks best. We're bringing her into the fold, slowly but surely. Baby steps, as it were. Can you point to which one of these you think looks best?
The little one.
The little one? All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Final score-wise, we got DX9 taking the lead in gimmicks, articulation, and transformation. X-Transbots earned some points for a tie with Fanstoys and materials, a tie with Fanstoys in alt mode, a tie with Fanstoys in accuracy, and takes their own unique point for price because it is the cheapest of the three and super reasonable for what you get there. And Fanstoys mops the floor. This is one of the best Fanstoys releases, though, to be fair, but they take the lead in accessories, build, build, materials due to that softer plastic in the X-Transbots interior, hardware, sculpt, which is certainly subjective. They also get a point for alt mode. They scored with my family for presence, and I gave them a tied point for accuracy as well, which brings us to a grand total score of Fanstoys taking the lead with 8 to X-Transbots 4 to DX9's 3. So there you have it, and here's what I have to say in my kind of closing about it. I probably should have just eliminated the DX9 Wild Rider from it because it forced me to kind of tie up Fanstoys and X-Transbots, and I think that comparison between those two could have proven to be a bit more interesting, but because Henry kept bringing the score down, it kind of boosted X-Transbots up or boosted Fanstoys up, and then they ended up tying, getting points. So hindsight being 2020, I probably should have just done X-Transbots and Fanstoys. However, it was still interesting to kind of put my hands back on those figures, get familiar with them. There was some stuff that I had completely forgotten about, and it was interesting to see. It was little changes and differences that they all made to kind of accomplish the same goal. It's pretty interesting. The good news is it kind of comes down to scale. Check my Menace or Menace videos. If you want the bots or the combined mode to be a certain size, go with this company. If you want it to be that certain size, go with that company, because they're both really good offerings, the X-Transbots and the Fanstoys. I think that the DX9 has made a lot of good Stunticons. I do not believe that this is their best. In fact, I believe it is their worst, but that's probably why I should have just left them out of the comparison. Either way, worth doing. Hope you guys have a good weekend. I'll be back on Monday with some Transformer stuff. You want a hint? Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Till next time, take care.